Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR 2. Lawyers of Reddit. What is a detail that your client failed to bring up to you that completely lost you the case? A friend of mine is a lawyer and he said that a client once turned up to court in the actual same outfit he was wearing in the burglary. When the CCTV footage come up in evidence, the client looked down to himself and was like, "Ooh crap, edit. My first ever awards. Cheers." Lol. A friend of mine's client showed up to their court session with no shirt on at all. Luckily she had her husband's dry cleaning in the car and he was able to wear one of his. She truly wondered how he thought showing up half nude was going to convince the judge he was an upstanding member of society. "I knew today wouldn't be a good day to wear my lucky ski mask." Quote, Hey, easy with that. That's my lucky stabbing hat. I can see any of the characters delivering this, but Dennis would be the best. You see, Your Honor, although I can guarantee to you that the man in this video is unquestionably not me, I can see how you might think that. The chiseled jaw, steely eyes, obvious physical stamina. Why? If you popped off that shirt of his, I bet you'd see a set of abs that are nearly as flawless as mine. Yes, Your Honor, I can certainly see how might have convinced yourself that the perfect physical specimen that you're seeing on this very screen is me, but it's not. He's just not quite there. Unfair dismissal case. The client claimed to have been dismissed without reason or following procedure. After we had started the case, it comes out that not only was he given 3 written warnings, but he was also called in for a disciplinary hearing before his dismissal. Don't lie to your lawyer. Had a similar case in regards to tenant law and an eviction order. Dude claimed he never got the written warnings of his landlord. 10 minutes into the case he admits not having checked his letterbox for months due to being over at his GF's place most of the time and was afraid to find letters of his landlord due to missing rent. Still got him a deferral to pay the missing rent in full within 30 days to avoid the eviction. Of course he did not. Similar to a doctor, I feel like not telling your lawyer everything can just hurt you. Even if you were driven to the hospital by someone from your family for a regular appointment, why would they go into the exam room with you? That's a little weird. Have them stay in the waiting room, where they should be. If you're in the hospital for something else that is severe enough where your family would be there, you having sex should be the least of their concerns. Never lie to your doctor. As silly as it sounds, omitting any information could make a diagnosis way more difficult. You would think so if people were rational. But some parents absolutely desire unchallenged power over your life. I've literally seen guys with track marks in their arms tell me they don't do any drugs. When told that mixing drugs could kill them, they always say, "Oh yeah, I might have accidentally done drug, cocaine, meth, heroin, random pills." An old guy brought in from a seedy hourly motel after his hooker called 911. And him saying he hadn't taken any drugs until we told him treatment mixed with those drugs could kill him. Then, "Oh yeah, I took Viagra for the friend he met who's from out of town's pleasure." I've had people come in with stained fingers, smelling like cigarettes, tell me they don't smoke. I had a woman come in who was rushed down from another floor after she was breathing again. She divided to mix Xanax, another benzo, and then get sedation for a treatment and ended up stopping breathing. People lie about dumb crap all the time. It's the stigma. They've been conditioned to get crap on for being addicted. They are ashamed, worried how they will be treated, get in trouble. They don't derive enjoyment from those situations. Is it smart? No. But it's not just to be dumb and lie. I once got asked if I was sexually active in front of my mom. She was sitting behind me, so I shook my head but whipped my eyes up and down. She just nodded and said, "I see," and checked the box. Lucky it was on the screen also facing away from my mom. Edit. It has come to my attention that some of you think I'm a girl. No, my mom is just really weird about this stuff. Not draconian or anything. Just makes you want to blip out of existence. I just tried shaking my head and nodding my eyes and I think the interviewer would have thought I was crazy. Note: patient began to have some kind of convulsions every time the word sex was mentioned. I would end up headbutting the doctor. Medical history: sexually active, yes, no, headbutt. Not a lawyer yet, but I clerked for a DAS office throughout law school. Obviously we don't have clients, but I'll never forget this kidnapping case I worked on. It involved two Asian male defendants who were both the same age and looked relatively similar. Witness is on the stand and is asked to identify where the defendant who pushed an Uzi into his face is seated. It's clear the witnesses is having trouble differentiating the defendants. In a true moment of brilliance, one defendant raises his freaking hand and basically points to himself like, right here bud. Hands down, the dumbest crap I'd ever seen. I thought his defense attorney was going to have a brain aneurysm. Was the defendant's name Jason Mendoza by any chance? My doctor said my brain was smooth as an egg. Going to seriously miss TGP. I hope Michael Schur keeps making these wholesome, silly TV shows. Man, that's racist. I'm Filipino. Who has two thumbs and shoved a submachine gun in your face? Point one thumb and one Uzi itself. Bob Kelso, how ya doing? He was probably also part of the Cobras in high school. For people who don't get the joke, there was an AskReddit thread the other day asking about school scandals. I think one commenter said a group of people calling themselves the Cobras would go around the school, graffitiing their name on everything. Everyone had a good idea who the guys were, but the school board couldn't prove who it was. Class photo day came around and announcements were going off calling people to have their photo taken. An announcement for the Cobras came over the system and some dumbasses actually showed up to have their photo taken. Something like 13 of them. That's freaking hilarious. They might not necessarily be malicious, just stupid. That he filmed his offenses for his YouTube channel. The cops didn't even know. A witness brought it up on day 3 of a trial. It was a nice quick change of plea that afternoon. I'll never understand why people record any type of potential illegal act, much less post it on social media. So you're saying, it's just a prank bro, isn't a valid legal defense? Not since prankster V Bro in 1986. What kind of crime was it? I want to know what the YouTube channel is. LMAO. Probably Samuel Salt. Or Luca Magnotta. That guy is incredibly evil. I love crime documentaries, but I couldn't get through this one. Couldn't deal with the cat death. I'm still a law student and this happened during my first internship at a court. A girl among other people was charged with drug possession, but because she had thrown away their drugs and the police couldn't prove that she bought or owned the drugs, BC it could have been one of the other people as well who still had drugs on them. The judge ruled in WO pro REO. He then asks if she wants to add something and this girl asks if she can get her drugs back. The defense attorney looked like he was about to get a heart attack. Edit. For those wondering, I know what in WO pro REO means, but I wasn't sure if they use the term in other countries and try to explain it if not. This happened in Germany. Sadly, yes. I've heard of people calling the police for getting ripped off in their meth purchase. Retired cop. I've worked those calls. They do happen. And it's not a one-off thing. When someone is extremely angry, knows exactly who ripped them off, but are real dodgy about what they sold the person, tried to buy it's real clear. Others just flat out tell you, man, I know I shouldn't have been buying crack but he ripped me off. What exactly do you do in that situation? Do you have to arrest the person or do you just tell them they are crap out of luck? Genuinely curious. It was a typical appointment interview with the immigration committee in order to grant my client a residence permit. He was marrying a woman in my country with my country's nationality, and this is a legitimate reason to be granted a residence permit. So it was a typical procedure. At least that's what I thought. The committee is bored to death and we all want to be over with it. So they ask him all typical and boring questions, like how did they meet, where they live, etc. They ask these things to identify white false marriages. At some point they ask him if he was married before and he says, yes. Back in my home country and I am still married actually. Never got a divorce. WTF. I was stunned. Double marriage is forbidden in my country. And he never bothered to mention this detail to me. Neither to the other lawyer when we asked him. He later told me he said the truth because he was afraid to lie in front of a committee. An honest and stupid man. I got all my money though. Yet we had to find another way to gain a residence permit. I'm an immigration paralegal and this kind of thing happens all the time. I always ask if they are married. And they say, no. Later on it comes out that they are married. But it's in another country so it doesn't count. Nope, it still counts. I felt a too real shudder of recognition reading your story. So many times I've asked a client the exact same question, like 5 different ways just to make sure their answer remains consistent. Just to have them answer in the exact opposite way before the judge or decision maker during the hearing. Like, frick, why even retain me if you're not even going to stick to the plan you're paying me money for? One of the unsolved mysteries of life. Eternally. Great success. Wait, going on reality TV is not clear evidence of brain injury. I work for an insurance company. A guy sued one of our insureds for, among other things, loss of consortium, which can encompass many things but namely the ability to have sex with your spouse. We had gotten surveillance on the guy and had video of him having sex in a car with a woman other than his wife. For whatever reason his attorney took it to trial anyway. He continued to deny the ability to have sex. The video was played for the jury and the guy's wife who was at the trial. He lost the trial and his wife. Something similar happened in my hometown where a high school teacher hit and killed 2 young boys on a bike. The parents tried to take her to court but there were street cameras showing the boys, one of whom was riding on the handlebars, running a stop sign, full speed down a hill with no helmets. She didn't have a stop sign so she had no reason to double check or slow down and it was kind of a blind spot. It was awful how they tried to demonize her after the police investigation found her not at fault. I just don't feel like the attorneys should have even taken the case. This teacher was and still is hugely active in the community. The guilt that teacher must feel is high even though she was not at fault. That's sad. First time I've actually seen a judge call someone stupid in court. The brain-damaged kid. If the helmet fits. I am actually a lawyer. But I was only watching this trial, not participating. So the case was, that woman A had hit woman B in the head with a heavy beer pint at a bar. And woman B got pretty serious injuries. The defense claimed that woman A had not hit anyone with the pint, but instead had just thrown the pint into a random direction, and it happened to hit B in the head. Thus it was an accident and not a battery. Well, the prosecution had a CCTV tape from the bar, and it was shown at the trial, and the tape clearly showed in HD as A walked behind B and smashed the pint to her head so hard that the pint shattered on impact. I looked at the defense lawyer and his jaw literally almost hit the table. The prosecutor also noticed this and asked something along thrown A, and the defense lawyer said that due to technical difficulties he couldn't get the CCTV tape open on his computer when he was reviewing the evidence. Woman A was found guilty. So yeah, I was completely dumbfounded. Lost due to the incompetence of the lawyer. Not a client's fault I mean. The client was also at fault here. I can't get the file to play. What is it? Video of the incident. Oh, it'll show you didn't do it. Right. Yeah, great. Next file please. Man, this lawyer giggers EZ. I'm a gal. I called and texted the father on one of my cases around 10 times in the weeks before the hearing. He wouldn't call back. If he answered, he would say he was too busy to talk to me. A couple hours before the hearing, I was volunteering at my son's school for an event and he texted me saying he was ready to talk. I let him know that I couldn't call. When I got to court, I found him and introduced myself. I told him I would like to talk to him after the hearing. He said, "Oh, you got time for me now?" The judge awarded temporary custody to the child's grandmother. When we left the courtroom he starts going off about how we are all unfair against fathers. Not only did the judge award custody to the grandmother rather than the mother, but he didn't really want to discuss his prior or current charges including DV, drug and gun charges that occurred in the presence of the children, lack of driver's license due to DUI, or refusal to submit a court-ordered drug test. His lack of custody was due to my bias against dads. What kind of law do you do now? That's something I've seen repeated again and again from lawyers on Reddit. Criminal law exposes you to some nasty people, but family law exposes you to just insanity and emotional abuse on a whole other level. So as a technicality, if it stated on the ticket that he was using a smartphone and he was able to prove he didn't own the smartphone, without saying he was using one at the time, would that get to him off? Edit. My intention with this would be hoping the defendant wouldn't be dumb enough to then say, it is this instead, but rather just say, no, I do not own a smartphone, so I could not have been operating one while driving. A truthful and whole statement under oath. I'd assume any good lawyer would then press for further details and have it collapse. But I'm also spending my evening on Reddit, so what do I know? Likely not. People like to think that typos or glitches on a ticket mean they get off. But the justice system doesn't work that way. The court is asking, the law says don't do X. Did you do X? The fact that the ticket might say something incorrect could make it harder to prove you did X. But it's not that hard to say, oops, in a hurry after the stop I wrote that detail down wrong. But I can still swear under oath they definitely did X. I know you probably meant oath. But I really like swear under oath. It's like what someone would say if they were being sworn in to Starfleet. I'm a public defender in an area with lots of meth use. Meth makes most people talk a lot, so I can't tell you how many clients forget to mention that they got to the jail still high and called their mom, girlfriend, buddy on the recorded jail phone and not only confessed to the crime, but also brainstormed whatever alibi or version of events I'm relying on to defend them. Edit. I'm seeing this question a lot, so I'll add some info here. This is not legal advice, just explaining things a bit more. Calls to a lawyer are privileged, and generally go through dedicated lines that aren't recorded. Depending on the facility, calls to family, friends, etc. through the normal phones are not privileged, are generally recorded, and can be used in court. There are usually printed signs near the phones and a recorded warning before each call that this is the case. I was in court once for a school journalism project, and there was a woman in court who had been arrested for weed and crack possession when she came to bail out her boyfriend from a separate arrest. Apparently he called her from jail and told her to come bail her out and to bring some weed and crack. The guard overheard him and it was recorded on the jail phone, so they arrested her when she showed up. I want to think these people are just addled by drugs, but somehow that feels like wishful thinking. FDA dismissed a guy for insider trading. He would access a database of drugs about to be approved, which nearly always caused stock to go up. He'd made millions buying stock in his family's name to cover his tracks. But he made a fatal mistake. He looked at the database and then bought stock with his work computer, which FDA owned and could search without consent. You click a statement to that effect each time you sign on. If he'd waited and done it on his own computer, they'd have had to get a search warrant. A much tougher proposition. www. Washington Post. Come again. Jesus, if you're going to be a creep, don't do it on company time, equipment. WTF is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Broadly gestures at Cumbox. Edit. Thanks for the gold, kind straw. What's that? I have to smear the gold all over my body while telling you about it? No. At least it wasn't a coconut. Man shrugging. Yo, the box is lame, but a coconut would be funny, tbh. Oh, you guys, this one doesn't know. Don't tell me there's already a coconut. Oh boy, is there a coconut? Now you put it that way, maybe I did hit the car. Simple is good. Thanks for watching LWIAR 2. The best of all time r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out the original LWIAR channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe.